In the meantime, the government has established a national flood emergency, emergency multi-agency team and a response center to address the flooding situation witnessed in various parts of the country due to the ongoing rains. The government's intervention comes as the rains and floods-related disaster continues to increase in intensity. Brenda Wanga reports on the interventions that come late in the day, despite early warnings 2 months ago from the Meteorological Department.
After nearly a week of sustained heavy rains that have resulted in deadly flooding that has claimed over 50 lives, the national government has finally moved to act.
The government, under the leadership of President Ruto, will do whatever it takes, will apply all the required resources in terms of money and personnel to make sure that lives are not lost and the people of Kenya are protected from this disaster.
The president leading a multi-agency meeting that seeks to find solutions to the devastating floods and attempts to mitigate the impact of the heavy March to May rainy season.
Because of the rains, but also we have the challenge now of floods in different areas.
The government's approach to the floods includes the formation of a team bringing together different government agencies to, amongst other things, provide alternative settlement for those displaced by the floods, provide food and non-food items, lead rescue operations, amongst other interventions.
The multi-agency emergency response center has been activated from 4 p.m. this afternoon and shall be domiciled at Nyayo House.
The government's interventions comes after a hue and cry was raised by those affected directly by the floods and the clergy who questioned the slow rate of response from the government as the situation threatened to get out of hand.
That both the national and county governments failed to put in place measures to ensure effective flow of flood waters despite being warned of heavy rains by the Meteorology Department.
Indeed, the government, now scrambling to put in place mitigation measures, appears to have been caught flat-footed by the raging floods.
And therefore, it is important for us to be proactive in terms of what interventions can we make. There are citizens living in very dangerous places, and those are the most vulnerable at this point.
But proactive is what the government hasn't been in the last 2 months. The information on the weather outlook for the traditional long rain period was made available as early as February this year, when the Meteorological Department issued its seasonal forecast for the March to May rains.
The features that brought about the enhanced rainfall for October, November, December, which we observed into January. Some of the features are still in force. They are dying down, but they are still strong enough to enhance the rainfall.
Consequently, the monthly and the weekly forecasts that followed appeared to reinforce the prediction of heavy rains and the impending impacts.
Risks of mudslides and landslides in some places, high grounds where the soils are loose, there is that likelihood. There is a likelihood of having swollen rivers. And what in a nutshell we would say is that let's position ourselves properly and keep off harm's way.
Indeed, the Met Department has consistently flagged areas of concern and recommended actions to be taken by different agencies to minimize the impact of the rains. In one advisory, the Met Department calls for mapping of high-risk areas prone to flooding and the mobilization of funds to mitigate flood risks. In another, it warns of possible overflow of dams that could result in loss of lives. The government now moving reactively to implement some of these recommendations nearly 2 months into the rainy season, begging the question, why was this critical information overlooked in the first place?
On a daily basis, daily alerts will be issued to the people of Kenya to inform them of what is happening.
The government now maintains it is seized of the situation and is acting to avert and minimize the impact of the rains that are set to fizzle out towards the end of May. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.